Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Carell, the co-founder and CRO at GetAccept. Hello.
Yeah, hi Christian. Nice to meet you. Nice to be here.
Excited to meet you. Please tell us, what is GetAccept?
Yeah, GetAccept is a B2B SaaS sales platform. We are a digital sales room platform. So we help sellers and buyers to create the best selling and buying experience from opportunity to close deals. So those are things like how you share sales content, video, and actually create a sales process that is engaging and working throughout the entire buying journey, tied to a CRM like Salesforce, for example. So essentially helping quota-carrying reps to increase their win rates by creating the best sales and buying experience possible.
What did you say are the problems that teams face in the B2B buying process?
Obviously, I think everybody who's been part of the changes that are happening over the past 5, 10, 20 years in sales, significantly more information and more access to information to the buyers. There's been a buyer enablement revolution, right? Where you have Tekpon, for example, or other review sites, possibilities to research different type of software. There's much more information. B2B sellers are sharing much more product marketing and marketing, of course. So part of this is it's hard to interpret, and it's sometimes hard to understand the differences between different ones. So from a buyer side, it's quite complex. It's hard. If you haven't bought software in the space before, it's really hard to understand what are the baseline, what's good, what's bad. So that's one challenge. And then on the seller side, of course, to navigate this complex environment, it's really hard to stand out. It's really hard to build strong personal relationships. And at the end of the day, in B2B, people want to do business with people they trust, with vendors they trust. So in a more and more digital and online environment, how do you build and create a repeatable sales process that is based on how people want to purchase, at the same time helping and supporting your seller to actually create strong relationships with their buyers? That's just one challenge, but that's generally a big shift that's happened. On the other side, of course, now we've had a pandemic, we've had economic downturns and recessions, which means that more and more decisions that were previously done by individuals or smaller groups are getting significantly more competitive. You have a lot more stakeholders. You have to build better business cases. So how do you present these business cases to C-level people? So the complexity of the buying committees becomes significantly harder. So again, how do you build a sales process, buying and selling journey that actually supports these challenges that the average B2B sellers are facing today? But those are just some of the ones that come top of mind immediately.
And the digital sales room is the solution to those problems, I guess.
Correct. I mean, we started our startup journey in my second bedroom doing Y Combinator. With our pitch was the idea to create seller and buyer enablement platform to help account executives to become these super sales people to win more deals. This was the initial pitch that we went out with, and our vision was to create a new category of software, because a lot of the software were around MarTech and lead generation, like outreach and so forth. And then Gong started popping up, Chorus and those ones helping support the AEs more specifically. You have the Showpad and Seismics for content enablement for marketing teams. But how do we help people to, again, win more deals by effectively build their stronger relationships? And what the digital sales room solves is one place for all your sales content and communication with your buyer and also your colleagues that you're selling with, sales engineers, customer success, etc., to have everybody meet in one place where all information is available. Your sales decks, your reviews on online sites, your mutual action plan is visible, your proposals, your e-signatures and everything. So you can easily, instead of constantly having 10 different email threads with different people, SMS text lines with different ones, actually collaborating around the deal between the selling party and the buying committee to actually get to a decision sooner or later, which is in the interest, of course, of everyone. Even if you end up realizing, hey, we're not the best vendor for you, or you're not the best vendor for me, getting to that decision quickly so you can move on and focus on what's going to move the needle for both businesses.
That's absolutely incredible. When exactly should a company think about a solution like yours?
That's a good question. We've gone to market quite heavily before we've started the entire digital sales room software category that's now available, and there's a lot of competitors that's come into the space, billion-dollar giants that move into the digital sales room space. But I think like this: if you have a sales journey that involves more than one interaction, we are B2B platform, right? But there's some very transactional B2B companies that are very much one phone call, one close. Then maybe you don't need that follow-up. As soon as you have a sales cycle that maybe runs past a couple of weeks or 2 weeks, you really need a digital sales room to gather that information in one place. But with that said, even in a very transactional space, you need to stand out, right? And it's very seldom today that people are able to make that extremely quick decision. So we actually have a different part of our software called the contract room, which is much more focused on getting those quick proposals and e-signatures in place as well. But that's a different part of our broader digital sales room offering. But I would say if you have different stakeholders and you're challenged by communicating with these different champions and economic buyers, you're working according to a sales methodology, you're utilizing MEDPIC or MEDIC as a way of qualifying opportunities and running account mapping, then the digital sales room is the perfect way to create a sales and buying process that actually is in line with how you train your reps to run and map their deals. So as soon as you started thinking about scalability into your team and copy pasting your best sales reps to ensuring that your mid and bottom performer are actually able to run through that process and feeling guided together with their buyer, then the digital sales room is pretty spot on. That's what I would say is more of our ICP.
Thank you so much for explaining. What are the most loved feature of your product by our customers?
We still to date, there's a couple of different ones that pop up, but from the get-go, we were the first product to do sales content with video. So our personal video intro that we released in our first product back in December 2015 is one of the key things, the ability to actually translate what you're sending. And so if you're sending a sales deck or you're sending technical information, how do you put personality into the digital selling experience? So the video is one key. Currently, with the new release of our larger digital sales room offering and what we call the deal room, which is essentially running that until you get to the contracting phase, the number one is implementing mutual actual plans, because now currently you really need a sticky process and getting commitment from the buyer. You can't really wing it anymore. You need a rigid mutual actual plan to ensure that you're covering all the bases, so they can actually make a decision at the end of the day that doesn't end up being, hey, too little information, we feel too uncertain, we're going to back off, and you lose the deal to no decision because there's no rigid process to get to that virtual close, if we call it that, for example. Yeah.
What are the most used integrations?
By far is our CRM integration. So we have built, and part of our go-to-market has been building the best integrations to the best CRM platforms out there. So Salesforce, HubSpot, and Microsoft Dynamics are 3 big partners on that area. So those are the most used integration, because that means essentially you can automatically personalize a digital sales room in a matter of minutes rather than personalizing sales content, because we integrate and can merge a lot of information into the digital sales room to feel it personal for you, Christian, immediately without adding too much effort. And you can record that personal intro video directly from Salesforce. So that's one part.
Oh, wow.
Really important to create stickiness. The other integrations that we work heavily with is obviously what's happening in the background. A lot of the information in the opportunity to close process, you want to utilize that for forecasting. So how do we get that data? If we have a deal, has the economic buyer looked at the business case, for example, or the proposal? We feed that back into integrations to ensure that you can do better forecasting, coach your reps better. When you do account mapping sessions, according to Medic, maybe you want these insights, right, to say, hey, you're saying that you have a champion here that has pitched you into, but honestly, your economic buyer hasn't been engaged at all. They have no idea what the opportunity is to work together. So, for example, so stuff like that are very important when it comes to analytics, but that's more of a back end and how we feed back into BI platforms, or if you have any reporting platform outside of Salesforce or a HubSpot or something like that.
I'd love to hear your favorite success story.
Favorite success story? There's a lot of them, but I think
I imagine.
I think actually I'll take one of the first one. When we went to market back in 2015, we sold to, when we launched our product, we, according to framework, we wanted to, of course, sell and see what's willingness to pay for the product, not just building something and say, hey, you can have it for free. So we went to 20 businesses in our network. We onboarded them in September 2015, and we said by 4th of December, you're going to have to start to paying for an annual contract with these ones. So we converted, out of those 20 customers, we converted 18 those ones to paying customers when we launched the platform officially on December 4th. One of those clients was a hotel group, a hospitality group. We did a lot of, initially with proposals and quick transactional B2B sales in the beginning. And what happened actually is they ended up investing in our platform. They've never made tech investments. And when we raised our seed round, they more than ever wanted, hey, this is the best thing that's happened to our sales organization. We want to be part of this journey. We invest in real estate and hospitality, but we want to put in your seed round. We just want to be part of this. And they, to still this date, have now grown to a large hospitality conglomerate with fantastic hotels and properties in the world, and still part of their most important tech stack is GetAccept. Fantastic case study, but also knowing that they wanted to put their own money on the line because they believed in this. And obviously that's been a good journey from them as we've gone from C to A to B and the possibilities in the future.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. What are the most common industries that you see with your customers? Yeah,
and I think it's changed a bit as we've competed in established categories like proposals, content management, and e-signatures in the past. Initially, we've been very transactional when it comes to that, but now currently, when we look at our ICP, we want to work with people who have a little bit more of a complex sales process, preferably online. So other tech companies, B2B SaaS companies are fantastic. So IT and tech in a more broader perspective, consultants, for example, or systems integrators, or people working with technology. The other side, what we're seeing is that there's a big room for in other traditional B2B. So people are running long sales cycles and need a tight process in manufacturing and those areas as well. So we're seeing different worlds, but generally it's internet, it's IT and tech that is it. We want them to utilize one of our CRM integrations because we don't believe you can't sell to a team of 20 salespeople if we can't integrate the most important tech stack being Salesforce or HubSpot or Microsoft Dynamics. So overall, I would say IT tech is the most important one, and they're also the one most prone to change, right, when you're introducing a new software category.
I understand. You mentioned that you created this software category. I was curious now, how competitive is it nowadays?
Yes, I'll give you. So when we started, we launched the category. We been in communications a lot with different, I don't want to say people who lead like Gartner, and we got them to, they get inspired and did some research on the subject of the most important software. We got the ability to get the word digital sales from out there about now, it's approximately 2 years ago, a year and a half ago and change. In the beginning, when we defined it, there was approximately 4 or 5 that we constituted as real competitors at the time. Today it's over 40 plus companies that are starting to adopt digital sales rooms or deal rooms in their marketing or on their product list on website, similar to companies like Seismic picked it up immediately. For example, $1 billion giant. You see other ones like smaller companies popping up, literally copy pasting what we're doing. You see within the Y Combinator network, which is our incubator that we went through, there's now people who've seen us, of course, as part of the alumni and copy pasting that software. You see people moving into mutual action plans like Outreach and Salesloft, of course, as well. And you see the other ones. So we approximately now there's 50 competitors who supply deal rooms or digital sales room part of their product offering. So it's a significant change in the business. And we also see that, of course, on people actually searching for it, asking for it specifically because they've been educated about the possibility to sell in exactly in this way.
But are you the biggest player in the market?
We are the biggest player today. We're the leading space. So if you go in and look at online reviews or different sites and search for it, like a lot of the content comes from us, obviously. So for us, it's about, we see our journey. We got very inspired. We got the ability to meet the founders of HubSpot in Brian Darmesh early on and pitch our product. So to us, how they created inbound marketing from the get-go and creating a software category, and then not just being the one who actually created it, but remember for the one winning the category or are the leaders in that category. So that's something that inspires us as founders. And to date, we are in that position. Now it's about making sure that we execute and deliver in the best way possible, right? So we've upped the stakes, and we want to continue to be the best in the space. And of course, we welcome any type of competition, because when you create a new software category, if you don't have any competition as an entrepreneur, you're running in the wrong path, because you probably are not creating a software or a solution to problem that actually exists. There needs to be competition. To us, it's a testament that it's real, that it's getting picked up by a large organization, it gets picked up by a Gartner, it's getting picked up by billion-dollar companies, but also getting picked up by startups. People understand that this is the solution to how you run sales processes, instead of just sharing different emails, different types of content, and trying to mesh that process together in a mismatch of different patchworks of platforms and communication channels.
Thank you so much for sharing. Why did you choose to solve this problem? How did you come up with the idea?
That's a good, I think, like all good entrepreneurs, you need to usually fail. It's very seldom that you hit the jackpot on the first try, right? So we are a team of 4 co-founders. We wanted to work with each other because we share the same vision and ambition and core values. I've started businesses in the past, so as my co-founders, we've had good and bad experience with other co-founders or ambitions and so forth, and I have a long history lesson on what to not do when you start your first companies. But together, we've all been active in the B2B sales world, CRM, lead generation, and that space. And what we saw as a trend is there quite a big blue ocean for account executives to really support them. It was a lot on, you hire the best salespeople, they get to run their sales process. Of course, they got training, but how do we ensure that we copy paste the best in class closers, account executives? And we saw an opportunity. Gartner was also one, or Aberdeen Group at the same time came out with Salesforce, that 60% of all sales qualified opportunities in B2B sales end up in no decision or no response. And we saw there's a giant blue ocean to support these people. We saw it at their customers as a previous company. So this was definitely a problem that we saw in business throughout with ourselves and with our customers, that we really wanted to solve. That we're sellers at heart, so how can we help ourselves? Because we've lived this problem day in and day out with ourselves and with our customers. So like any good business problem, when you really feel the pain yourself and you're frustrated about it, and you know that there's millions of other people who live this frustration in and out, which is true. There's 20 million B2B sales reps that every day are pressured to hit quotas, are struggling to run a consistent sales process with every single opportunity. And that's what GetAccept and the digital sales room is the answer to. How can we help them to become the superstar closer that they have the capacity to be?
Fantastic story. How big is your team right now? The entire team?
We're 200 in total at GetAccept. When we have myself, I run a sales team of approximately 60 people in total.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what has been your latest funding round?
Series B. Led by Bessemer Venture Partners back in the change between 2020 and 2021. So that was a Series B funding.
Mm-hmm. And what is the future vision for GetAccept? What are the plans?
The vision is the same as day one. We want to help these 20 million B2B salespeople to fundamentally change how people sell and buy services and B2B software and any other type of product. So that has been we know that if you try this process, you don't want to go back to the way you did it before. It's one of those things when you've lived through it and realized, damn, this is how we can actually do it. So our vision is, of course, to be a global company. We are in 7 different countries with actual workforce at the moment, with salespeople across the globe, with customers in 70 different countries, paying customers and companies in 7 different countries. We will have a global impact and scale this vision, of course, as far as we possibly can, and make us a big dent in the sales world. That's what drives us. And doing this while we hire the best people, the most ambitious and talented people, have fun together and enjoy this journey, because it's also a lot about, as a founder, to understand that we have, of course, our strengths and our weaknesses, but how do we build a team across the board that develops with us, that brings new insights, brings new experiences, brings new talent into the talent pool. So from my personal vision as well, is just seeing this team grow and this vision grow with the best people possible in the entire journey that we can. So that's part of it. But yeah, we're very value driven, and the ambitions are always sky high, and we usually take the more risky bet because that's more in line with our core values and our ambition and vision for GetAccept.
What has been your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Biggest challenge, there's a lot of big challenges throughout the years, but I want to say we started out going global from day one, and we did that by expanding to many different countries with physical locations. Works fantastic when you have a very entrepreneurial and small team, but I want to say just generally the challenge of scaling that way brings in some type of organizational depth. So that's been a challenge in how to continue to build upon that complexity from day one. Otherwise, I think just as any other company, the current past 24 months with the pandemic, with economic downturn and recession, it's been a fantastic challenge. We've managed it very well, but I want to say the challenge been immense, of course, to currently sit in a situation where you don't have abundance in extra capital or can just raise an extra bridge round to focus on the things that you know are going to be successful or getting this funding, but actually rethinking for sustainable growth or cost-efficient growth has obviously been a big challenge. It's been an exciting challenge, but it's been very, very tough.
I'd love to hear the best go-to-market strategies that worked for you.
Depends. Yeah, I can give you some different journeys. In the beginning, of course, for founder-led sales, it's not repeatable, but I think again, building upon your network and yourself selling as much as possible to get the feedback from your clients. I've been selling since day one. I still sell and take sales meetings to this day, despite the fact having a team of 60. So I also think that just in general, having sales leadership and founders talking to customers, understanding their problems is quintessential for designing a team, also a product team or a go-to-market team that can adapt to the challenges that are in the market quickly. So it's something that Y Combinator said from the get-go is always talk to your users, talk more to your users. If you talked enough, you should probably talk some more, etc. So continue to live that methodology throughout the entire. But a lot of founder-led sales was done actually with cold outreach to network to build the first clients, understand, get the first revenue. Then after that was just hiring really, really independent salespeople in the beginning who are hardworking and creative. When you don't have that scalable, repeatable process, people are excited about creating something from scratch that maybe doesn't exist. Ensuring that you're hiring really the most talented people, because a startup is never easy. So finding the correct people for every part of the journey is really important. Then for us, it was also focus. I want to say in the beginning, when you're a smaller team, you really need to focus on what's our ICP, what integrations do we have that can actually enable us to sell, because you have more limitations than you have opportunity usually. So how do you funnel those limitations down and make sure that you build, even if your larger vision is different, how do we create revenue right now that can continue and fuel our growth for the future? So focus on your ICP early on. This is obviously true later on, but I also think when you come in a little bit later in the journey, when it comes to go to market, it's been integrations and partners. Then funneling down the ICP to ensure that if we want to go up market and increase our ACV, which is obviously part of creating a better cost-efficient sales model, if you can double the ACV, triple the ACV, then you don't have to generate 30 opportunities per rep per month, for example. So how do you ensure that you do that efficiently? For us, as a B2B sales platform, it's been key integrations to piggyback ride on other vendors who have the same ICP or the same addressable market that we want to go after. There are good opportunities for us, and actually saying no to the ones that we maybe do not fit in, maybe we don't have the strongest integration, because it's easy to sometimes sell a standalone software to a couple of users because they're okay with it. They don't have the same demands, but doesn't generate the same amount of revenue, at least not for us when we have a per seat license based model. So also think about that. How do we ensure, because the world is gigantic, how do you ensure, what's your top 2,000 accounts you want to go after? What's the next one up to 5,000, 10,000? Understanding how you're utilizing those. So even if we're 60 people today, where do we start? And not impeaching on the periphery of that ICP until you really make sure that you've targeted the entire ICP, because it's easy to run after what looks like attractive revenue, but it will also push your product in a different direction that will dilute the value that you're actually giving to that ICP. So again, I think focus throughout the entire journey is the most important things for go-to-market, because we are not Salesforce, we're not Oracle, we're not SAP. We don't have a workforce with people in every single country going every single industry with a plethora of products that we could go. So again, focus is really, really key.
I love to hear how you started your career. So the whole story.
My story, I'm Swedish originally, and I've done a lot of different works. I had a father who said, you're not going to get a single dime for anything in your entire life. You have to work for it. So that was probably the most important advice that I got early on. My dad is an old firefighter and military, quite strict. He's born in the 40s during the Second World War, so it was quite, clear guidelines on what was possible when I grew up. I started taking a lot of different plethora of different jobs. I've worked in factories, I've been working in telemarketing, I've been selling newspapers, and done a lot of different things. But I realized quite early on in these sales jobs, I really enjoy the customer interaction and helping solve a problem for someone, what they're looking for. So that started out, and I want to say the first true job that was when I actually became an adult. I took a lot of jobs in my 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. But then when I graduated secondary school, I started out in event sales for a large telco. It was Vodafone at the time, selling to people and really understanding interactions, getting rejections, and that's how it started. Then I've gone through college and started businesses. I realized I wanted to do something by myself, and started with wine imports, moved into B2B consultancy and enterprise SDRs on demand for a lot of large tech companies. That then also came up a lot with the idea around GetAccept and started that one. So from the get-go, my number one recommendation is just try different jobs and look around and really understand what you're good at and work with those on, of course, finding your weaknesses and understanding that you're taking jobs that are challenging you on those weaknesses so you improve and go that journey. But to me, the entire space of sales and psychology was always interesting. Then I actually have a degree in finance and statistics. So what I like is the mix between psychology and statistics and sales, because if you then can understand trends and understanding numbers, you can put a process that's scalable, then apply your soft skill set to that process. And that again is what I wanted when I grew up in sales, is having something in B2B that was similar to GetAccept, that I can follow a process where somebody's actually designed something that has certain kind of levers that I can follow. And also train my team members or help my team members to do that. So that's essentially what was it. But yeah, I recommend people trying everything. And then you don't know really what you're really excited about. But at the end of the day, you have to be passionate about it. You have to have that sense of thrill when you do something. Because at the end of the day, your career is very long. Your life is very long, as long as you have health. And to be able to enjoy that, you have to have something that you feel, I'm excited about this line of work or this thing. So not optimizing for the best paying job, or optimize for learning, and optimize to having something that inspires you when you go to job every morning, because that is what's going to push you significantly further ahead than the average person next to you.
Thank you so much for your advice. You're incredible. I really appreciate it. I love to hear what you do in your day-to-day job as the CRO.
Yeah, from a CRO, I have a team of sales directors, sales operations, enablement for different roles like SDRs, AEs, customer success, and so forth. So my job as a sales leader is obviously, together with these people, set the overall go-to-market and sales strategy, together with marketing and our CMO and our leadership. Apart from that is, of course, enabling these different leaders so they can execute on the sales strategy and help and support them in that sense. So I spend a lot of time in one-on-ones. I do, as a sales leader, think it's important that you're participating with people, individual contributors. I do spend a lot of times in sales meeting or coaching people or understanding what challenges they're facing in the sales process. But yeah, spend a lot of time talking to these sales directors, helping them and supporting them. At the end of the day, my leadership philosophy is quite simple. As a leader, you're supposed to take responsibility when shit hits the fan, when things are going bad for a sales organization. A great sales leader takes responsibility, not pushing away responsibility towards individual reps or something like that, or different regions or leaders. And then celebrate people when we succeed, individuals who actually take us to success. So to me, I'm here to enable those sales directors to be successful with their teams and so forth. Same instructions to them to take responsibility and push out that sales strategy. But yeah, very exciting day, and of course spend a lot of time traveling to meet up with these different offices, which is fun with different cultures. So hectic life. And then of course you have the other sides of, as a founder, responsibilities towards the business on a broader level as well when it comes to product. And I think it's really, really important to spend time as a sales leader with product and marketing in a SaaS business to really make sure that those three core components are working together with the same timing, with the same go-to-market motion. So marketing is not pushing a message that we're not selling and then selling something that we can't deliver. So ensuring that we actually are going to market simultaneously with good timing at the same time.
What are the top KPIs that you track?
Of course, ARR is, as any B2B SaaS company, is the number one metric in terms of ARR growth. From a CRO perspective, looking at the retention numbers like gross retention, so the net retention, the gross retention, the upsell motion, and so forth, and then of course tracking a lot of other different leading indicators. But those, I want to say, are some of the most important. Of course, looking at other things providing to sales velocity, so deal cycle, average contract values is very important to us because we're going in an upmarket motion, so ensuring that we're tracking towards those KPIs. And then there's all the regular stuff with different types of departments. If you look at SDRs, it's of course the how we tackle certain types of markets in terms of activity and so forth. But there's a lot of leading indicators to lead out, because those are usually lagging indicators that we're looking at, right? Or lagging goals that we have in terms of ARR growth or gross retention and so forth, which are the effect of a lot of other different activities that we're also, of course, tracking. But on a day-to-day basis, ARR is always on top of the mind. So if you ask me where we're at or how fast we're growing, those are numbers that continuously, no matter what minute of the day you ask me, those are top of mind, and I know the numbers in and out.
What's your current ARR?
We're not 100% transparent, but again, we're tracking towards 20 million approximately. And we're starting the journey 20 million to 100 million ARR, more or less. So but that's an official target that we have. There's no certain valuation that we're trying to go after. But yeah, 100 million is a clear set target for the organization to reach as soon as possible.
I have one last question for you. What's your favorite SaaS product, but apart from GetAccept?
Of course, yeah, no, I have a lot of different favorite products that I use, but I think quintessential for any type of sales organizations are products like Gong or Chorus, for example, that I think is extremely useful to coach your sales organization. Reason why I also think it's a very enabling platform for the individual rep to be able to listen to others and learn from others, particularly now in a setting where you have colleagues everywhere, where you're maybe not sitting at the same desk and listening in on that phone call. Oh, that thing I can use in one. So I want to say those type of call tracking and analytics platforms are some of my personal favorites for a sales team. Yeah, and there's a lot of other ones, but I'll say the Gong and Choruses of the world when it comes to sales.
Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
No, but no, overall, I think shared a lot of different insights, and I think it's tough times at the moment, but when I mention a little bit of words of encouragement, I always been a glass half full type of person, and I also know when it's really, really windy and there's a lot of headwind, it's very easy to be successful when things are blowing in the back and everything's going in the right direction. But really great companies, really great entrepreneurs, really great individuals are formed when you have a lot of headwind, not when you have a lot of tailwind, because that's truly when you see the capabilities that you have, the possibilities that they have. And the beauty is, when it's so windy, a lot of other companies or individuals are falling behind. So this is the opportunity to actually get ahead significantly quicker than others. Yeah. So hard work today in these periods of time in the last 12 months or in the future 12 months is probably going to give you significantly more in terms of exponential outcome in 5 years if you really dig down and work hard at the moment and apply your skill set. So that's how I feel about the current economic climate. When you're challenged, that's when I get excited, and this is obviously a challenging time. And I think it's the same for anyone listening to this, is if you're more hardworking than average person today, now is the opportunity to run significantly faster than other.
This podcast was fantastic. You did incredibly well, and I'm super grateful. And thank you for the mask, for the sleep mask. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super grateful. You did fantastic.
Thank you, Christian.